Somewhere along the way, you got the message that you feel too much. Maybe a parent said it, or a teacher, or a partner in the middle of an argument. You're too sensitive. And you believed it, because it lined up with your own experience. You walk into a room and read the mood before anyone speaks. You carry a conversation home for 3 days. You notice the crack in someone's voice that everyone else missed. It has cost you sleep, and it has cost you peace. And you've quietly filed it under weakness. I want to offer you a different possibility. Here are 5 signs that your sensitivity isn't a defect you're stuck managing, but something God can genuinely use. Not proof that you're a chosen empath with a special radar. I'll steer hard away from that, because that's where this teaching goes off the rails. 5 grounded, testable signs that the way you notice and feel is being shaped by God into a gift. And I'll be equally clear where it needs guarding, because sensitivity that's never tested doesn't stay a blessing. Before the signs, one distinction has to be nailed down or the whole thing collapses. Noticing is not the same as knowing. Your sensitivity is an antenna. It picks things up, the tension, the sadness, the sense that something's off. That's real, and it's not nothing. But the impression you catch is raw data, not a verdict. Biblical discernment is the step that comes after. You take what you sensed and you weigh it against Scripture, against wise people, against the fruit it actually bears. The Bible assumes you'll do this. John says, "Don't believe every spirit, but test them, because plenty of them aren't from God." Paul says, "Don't despise what feels like a prompting, but test everything and keep what's good." Both verses take for granted that a strong impression can be right or wrong, and the mature move is never to trust it on sight. Hold that as we go. You notice, then you test, then you decide. A healthy gift runs the whole circuit. The first sign is that what you feel turns into action instead of just weight. A lot of sensitive people live permanently flooded. You soak up everyone's emotions until you're wrung out, hauling around feelings that were never yours to hold. That's not compassion, and calling it compassion will slowly bury you. The real thing does something with what it feels. Every time the Gospels say Jesus was moved with compassion, an action follows on its heels. He teaches, he heals, he feeds, he touches the person everyone avoided. The feeling had a destination. So the honest question isn't whether you feel people deeply. It's whether that feeling becomes love that moves toward them or just leaves you depleted on the couch. When your sensitivity opens a door to actually caring for someone in a way they can feel, that's the gift doing exactly what it was made to do. The second sign is that it's growing more accurate, not just more intense. Here's a line almost nobody connects to this. Hebrews says the mature are those who through constant practice have trained themselves to tell good from evil. Trained. Through practice. That single word rescues sensitivity from the realm of mystical downloads and puts it where it belongs, a capacity that sharpens as you use it well. So look at your track record. Are you slowly getting better at telling your own anxiety apart from a genuine nudge? At distinguishing a person who's actually dangerous from one who merely makes you uncomfortable? If your noticing is maturing, if you're wrong less often and wise more often than you were 5 years ago, that growth is itself a sign you're stewarding a gift and not just riding a temperament. Raw intensity doesn't refine with age. A gift under God's hand does. The third sign is that it makes you kinder rather than more suspicious. This is the sharpest test of the 5, and Paul swings it hard. You could have prophecy, he says. You could understand every mystery, and without love, you are nothing. Then he draws love in detail, patient, kind, not proud, not easily angered, keeping no record of wrongs. So run your sensitivity through that. Does noticing everyone's flaws make you gentler with them, or just quicker to judge? Because there's a counterfeit discernment that's really just a trained eye for what's wrong with people, and it leaves you critical, guarded, exhausting to be near. The spirit sharpening always bends the other way. If what you call discernment is mostly making you suspicious, that's not God refining you. That's cynicism wearing a spiritual costume. Genuine sensitivity softens you toward people, even the difficult ones. The fourth sign is that it drives you to pray instead of to dread. This is the trap so many sensitive believers fall into. You sense that something's wrong with a friend, in your church, out in the world, and because you feel it at full volume, it settles on you as a weight, a background hum of worry that won't switch off. But Scripture keeps redirecting that noticing. Paul writes, "Don't be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer, bring it to God." Sensitive people are often the first to feel where the cracks are, and the church genuinely needs people who feel them early. But the gift only stays healthy when what you notice becomes intercession instead of anxiety. So watch which way your noticing flows. When you sense something's off and it puts you on your knees, that's the gift working. When it just sinks you deeper into dread you can't set down, the sensitivity is real, but it's leaking, and prayer is the channel it was meant to run through. The fifth sign is that it stays humble enough to be tested and to be wrong. This is the safeguard that keeps the other four honest, and it's the one I most want to leave you holding. A sensitivity that's truly from God never demands blind trust. It doesn't say, "I have a feeling about that person, so it's true." It doesn't take an uneasy moment, a dream, a knot in your stomach, and promote it to a message from heaven you then act on. Paul prays that our love would grow in knowledge and depth of insight so we can discern what's best. Feeling married to knowledge, impression married to testing. The mark of a mature gift is open hands. I noticed something, and now I'll bring it to God, to wise people, and to Scripture, and I'm willing to discover I was wrong. That willingness isn't a flaw in your sensitivity. It's the very thing that makes it safe to carry. The impressions you're willing to test are the only ones that were ever safe to trust. So hold those five together. Feeling that moves into action. Noticing that's growing more accurate. Sensitivity that makes you kinder. Awareness that turns into prayer. And humility that lets itself be tested. If these signs are steadily taking shape in you, the sensitivity you once apologized for may be something God is teaching you to steward. Untended, it can overwhelm you, but tested, rooted in love, and offered back to God, it can become a meaningful way to serve others. Peter says each of us should use whatever gift we've received to serve one another. Yours counts, not a flaw to hide, a trust to steward. Before you go, tell me honestly, which of these five signs is God growing in you most right now? Put it in a sentence in the comments, and let's build each other up in it. And if this helped you see a part of yourself you'd nearly given up on in a new light, subscribe and stay with us, and we'll keep learning to walk in this kind of grounded, tested faith together.